Gonna be honest with you, I wasn't looking forward to this movie at all. Not even a little bit. I went to see it because it's Star Wars and that's what I do. In the end, I liked it. Liked it way more than I thought I would. Liked it more than The Last Jedi. That surprised me.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Starring, amongst others, Alden Ehrenreich, Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, Donald Glover and Paul Bettany. Directed in the end by Ron Howard off of a screenplay by Jake and Lawrence Kasdan. This is my review for Solo, a Star Wars story.
We took this job!
First up, can we just ditch the Star Wars story bit? Like, we know it's a Star Wars movie, it's fine, you don't need to explicitly tell us. It's like Marvel doing like Ant-Man, an MCU movie. Doesn't happen. Doesn't need to happen here either. Just a little thing that bugs me. So going into Solo, a Star Wars story, there were two conversation pieces that I've noticed popping up the most. The first is, can somebody else play Han Solo, and should they? The second is, do we need to see this film? Do we need to see what happened to Han Solo before A New Hope? Personally, I don't think so. But let's address the first point first, because it's the way to do things. Alden Ehrenreich gives a great performance, I think, here. He does way better than I thought it would, and I don't envy the guy at all. I wouldn't envy anybody that came in to portray Han Solo, because this role, more than most other roles in cinema, is so intrinsically linked to Harrison Ford and his portrayal that anybody coming in instantly has an uphill battle to climb. They're instantly going to be compared to a character who is one of the best characters of all time. He's one of the characters that's the most loved in any franchise. So why would you want to take that on, actually? It seems like a bit of a... It's a brave move, put it that way. It's a brave career choice. Thankfully, though, Ehrenreich comes out of this extremely well. I don't think he perfectly nails Han Solo. Like, there were many moments where I was thinking to myself, man, I wish we could get a young Han... Let's clone Harrison Ford. Let's get him to the right age, and then let's put him in this film. Let's do it that way. But he did the best that he could do. And I don't think anybody could have come in and done it better, apart from a cloned Harrison Ford. It's fortunate that this one takes place where it does. It's far enough before A New Hope that Han Solo doesn't have all of the baggage behind him that he does when we meet him in Episode 4. It's a fresher take on the character. He's a bit more wide-eyed, a bit more fun-loving, and he hasn't quite worked out his place yet. He's trying to work out who he is as a person and the kind of man that he wants to become. That allows Ehrenreich to play a little bit more loosely with him, to do different things, and to just have him come across in different ways than we've seen before, while still retaining the elements that make Han Han. But yeah, really, I can't find many things to fault him about. He's a fun character. It's a very fun way to do this guy. He manages to walk that line between being arrogant, and he is arrogant, he thinks he's the best in the world, and he'll adamantly stand by that, while also being likeable. Like, he doesn't sway too much into the arrogance that it starts to annoy you. He balances that line, I think, extremely well here. I could also see him growing into the role a lot more. If we get a sequel to Solo, which is a big if, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but if we do, I think it'd be really good for him. I think we could start to see him turn more into the way Harrison Ford do it, just kind of lean into that side of the character as the story progresses, because the potential for it is definitely there. Like, this is a very good take on him, and I was worried. I was worried for this guy that he'd come out of this just not very well at all, but I don't think he will. I think response has generally been positive, and I think it's well deserved. He does a great job. As for whether we actually needed this film, no, probably not. No. It's the thing, I liked the film. I liked a lot of it, actually. There was a lot of it I enjoyed a great deal. And as I say, I preferred it to The Last Jedi, and say what you will about that film. I'm not here to talk about The Last Jedi, but I've got many, many issues with it. I did prefer it on the second time round, by the way. But yeah, I preferred this one. But at the same time, if it never existed, I wouldn't feel like I was missing anything. There's nothing about Solo that justifies its existence. I don't feel like I've learnt anything new. I've basically just seen things that we've already been told. I mean, yeah, there's certain bits here and there, like he has a love interest, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But yeah, he has a love interest here, and he's working to find that love interest. He loses her early on, and he wants to get her back. So it is, I suppose it's nice to see this side of him, because as far as I know, we don't get any reference to that in the later ones. But yeah, it's more just a film of, oh, okay, that's how that happened. Oh, that's how he got his blaster. Oh, that's how he met Chewie. Really? Oh, here's the game where he wins the ship. It's all of the things that you'd expect to see. It's basically a here's here of how Han got his shit. And yeah, I mean, it's fine. The movie's good. The movie, I enjoyed it, but there's plenty of other films that we could have done. There's plenty of other stories that could have been told, and plenty of other new stories that could be told. Like, give us some new characters, for God's sake. But as I say, I enjoyed it. Chewbacca, good old Chewie. I think this movie does more for Chewie than it does for any other character. I think personally, I loved Chewbacca in this one. He gets so many good moments. I think this may be my favourite movie for Chewie. So many great things with him, so many great little beats and great little interactions and just fun little Chewie moments. And it goes into, I don't want to go into spoilers too much, I might do a little spoiler bit at the end of this video, so I don't want to go into it a great deal, but it touches on his personal life, it touches on who Chewie was and who he was before Han Solo came onto the scene as well. Not in as much detail as I would have liked. I mean, if anything, I find Chewbacca's history more interesting than I do Han Solo's. But yeah, it was nice to see a focus on him as well. He's not just the sidekick in this one. He gets an arc of sorts and has things to do in his own right, and that was nice. I also enjoyed the character of Qi'ra as well. If this movie does bomb as hard as it seemed like it's going to, then I feel bad for Emilia Clarke, because she's not having a great run of things when it comes to movies. First Terminator Genisys, now this. She doesn't deserve it. Terminator Genisys, I think she was miscast. I don't think she was great. Here, she is. The character of Qi'ra is an interesting one. She's not straightforward. She's not a damsel in distress, and it seems like she is earlier on, but that's not the case at all. She has very interesting things that she's involved in her own right. She feels like a part of this little team that forms, and an integral part of it as well, but also at the same time having a mystery about her, and about where she's been and what she's been up to, and who she's with at this point in time as well. So yeah, good performance from her, and that's another character I'd like to see develop more if we do get a sequel to this film. I would say how great Donald Glover is, but everybody just says how great Donald Glover is, doesn't it? Any role that he does, he nails. Like, he's one of my favourite actors. I can't wait to see more from him, not just in Star Wars, but in other movies. But he nails Lando here. In fact, we delve deeper into Lando here than I was expecting. We learn a lot more about him, about who he is as a person, the things that he cares about, way more than we did when we saw him in the other ones. I like Lando in the original trilogy. I like him even more now. So this has done great things for that character. Everybody else, yeah. I mean, Woody Harrelson is always dependable. You can always rely on Woody Harrelson to give a solid performance. And he does here as well. He plays Han Solo's mentor of sorts. He meets him in this film and they go on a journey together and they work together. So yeah, he mentors him in a way. But there's nothing really distinctive about this character. Beckett's there to serve a purpose. He's there to do certain things, and he does. He's just kind of ticking off things that we need this character to do. And if you're going to have a character like that, then yeah, get somebody like Woody Harrelson in to do it, because he can bring a little bit more to it. But the character's just a bit bland. There's not a huge amount to him. The same with Paul Bettany's Dryden Voss as well. This is the villain of the movie, and Paul Bettany's great. He does great work here. He's very menacing. He comes across as somebody who can genuinely be a threat. But I didn't get to the end of this knowing much about him, really. He was just the villain of the story. There wasn't a lot of nuance to him. There wasn't any sort of depth to this character at all. He was just an evil git who's there to be threatening and menacing while doing it in kind of a fun way. And yeah, the best villains are the ones that you can sort of empathise with, the ones that you can understand, the one where you can get their motivations. This guy is just a cardboard cut villain, really. Nothing more than that. And of course, this is Star Wars, so we get a droid. We get a comedy droid. We had one in Rogue One. We've obviously had C-3PO and R2-D2, who don't show up in this, by the way, which is great. I'm really pleased they don't. But we've had those sort of characters for ages. This is no exception. We get another one voiced by, what's her name? Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I think her name is. English actress, very funny. I don't know what to make of this droid. There's moments where I loved her. She's a bit of a social justice warrior droid. Like, she's fighting a cause, and it's a nice way of doing it. It's a different way of having a droid. This is Lando's droid, L3, by the way. I don't want to say anything that happens with her, but yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence. There were parts where I liked. There was part of it where it felt a little bit forced. It felt like we had this comedy droid just for the sake of having one. What I loved most about Solo, though, was that it's so much fun. As I said, with The Last Jedi, I had issues with it. I didn't have a good time watching it. I found it took itself far too seriously for a Star Wars movie. It lost sight of a lot of the fun. In fact, the only kind of fun we got really was the side quest with the casino, and yeah. But yeah, I missed the fun of it. So coming into this one and having it just be a fun action heist movie, that made all of the difference for me. I think it's probably why I enjoyed it as much as I did. Like, that train sequence from the trailer is stunning. Such a good sequence. But that bit in the trailer where it looks like Chewie's head's going to be taken off ends exactly how you would expect it to end. Doesn't. But it makes these action sequences fun. There's life to them, there's energy to them. The stakes are quite low, obviously, because we know Han Solo's not going to die. We know Chewbacca's not going to die. Lando, he's going to be fine. Like, we know all this. But at the same time, it's because it's done so well, it's still tense, it's still exciting. And this movie also makes great use of the Millennium Falcon. Obviously, that's going to be in here because we need to know how Han got everything. So the Millennium Falcon does feature quite heavily. And it's done really well. It's the best Millennium Falcon flight sequence I think I've ever seen. It references sort of something that's been referenced before in Star Wars. We get to see that happen. And it's a bit predictable. It involves a giant squid-like monster, and I can do without those sort of things. But the effects, the way it's done, and the performances involved as it's all happening really elevate it. And I think the word fun really sums up my thoughts on this film well. It's not a particularly brilliant film, I don't think. It's not one that I'm going to remember for years to come. It's not classic Star Wars. But it's a good time. It's an enjoyable sci-fi romp, and it's the sort of Star Wars movies that I want to see. I want Star Wars to be fun. I want to just enjoy my time watching them. I don't want them to be overly deep and po-faced like other films in the franchise have been. So I think that's why I got a lot more out of this one, because it was exactly the sort of movie that I wanted it to be. But as weird as it is to say, that's also my issue with it as well, because there wasn't a great deal to it. It's very, we need to get from this point to this point to this point. And it does those things very well. But that does make it, at times, a little bit forgettable. As I say, I'm not going to look back on this one in a few years' time and be like, oh, it was such a good film. It's just going to be one that I'll check out again when it comes out on Blu-ray, and maybe a bit down the line I'll watch it again. And that, for me, is just the fact that this movie wasn't needed. It wasn't. We all said, you don't need to see Han Solo before. We don't need to see an early adventure from him. And this doesn't do anything to change that at all. If anything, it proves the point. On a pure entertainment level, if you want to go and have a good time with a Star Wars movie, go see this. It's definitely worth watching. I'm going to give Solo: A Star Wars Story an 8 out of 10. Right, spoilers. I'm going to go into some spoiler stuff now. I'm going to put a little spoiler thing there. I'm going to ruin things. Not too much. I'm just going to go into a few bits, but they are big bits. So yeah, definitely don't watch if you haven't seen the film or you care about spoilers. So one thing I wanted to mention is how Han Solo got his name. Now, I didn't know that was a mystery. I just thought his name was Han Solo. The same as Leia Organa, Luke Skywalker. His name was Han Solo. That was it to me. Turns out, no. His name was just Han, like Prince. He just gets one name, I think. He's given the name Solo because he's trying to board something, and one of the guards there says, what's your last name? What's your clan? It's like, I don't have one. It's like, oh, well, you're Solo then. You're Han Solo. And he goes, all right, I'll take it. And then he keeps that name for the rest of his life, to the point where his son then gets the name Ben Solo. It's weird. I don't get it. Why did he keep that name? Like, that name's intrinsically linked to the Empire. The Empire gave him the name Solo, yet he's kept the name, given the name to his son, and Leia's fine. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know why this had to be a thing. Like, why couldn't his name just have been Han Solo? It's weird. I don't understand it. It just seems like a bit of a nod to the audience. Like, I guess we'll call you Han Solo. Yeah. See what we did? Han Solo, because you're alone. Yeah, get it? Yeah, we got it. We didn't need to get it, though. His name could just have been Han Solo. There's no reason why it couldn't have been. Why do this? And I'm unsure what I think about how Han and Chewie meet as well. Han's thrown into a pit to be eaten by a beast, and the beast is Chewbacca. Which means that Chewbacca's eaten people. He's been forced to eat people. Which is really dark. Like, why is that not brought up? There's no point in this movie is Han like, hey man, you were gonna... Oh, and by the way, Han also speaks Wookiee now, which I guess kind of makes sense, but it's just a bit odd. Like, we've never seen Harrison Ford go "Roar" at all. Like, it's not happened. But yeah, why is Han not at any point go, so Chewie, been eating people? Yeah. Is that... Do you enjoy doing that? Is that a thing you're going to be... Do I need to be... No? You were forced to? But it's not really addressed. And yeah, it's a really dark thing, because if Chewbacca doesn't like eating humans or people, but he's been forced to do it, then that must have really messed him up. And the more I think about this, the darker it gets. And just the other thing I want to bring up as well is the reveal of who the main villain is. So it's not Paul Bettany's character like we thought. He actually answers to somebody else, and that somebody else is Darth Maul, which My reaction to it in the cinema when I was watching it was, oh, it's Darth Maul. That's awesome. That's no, wait, no, he's dead. When's this set? Is it set before Phantom? How old is Han Solo? Is he alive when Anakin's just a kid? It confused me so much so that I kind of missed what Darth Maul was saying because I was so just trying to wrap my head around how he was there. It was only after, when I came out and I sort of Googled it, that I read up that in the cartoons he survived and he was given spider legs and he came back. But yeah, as just a casual Star Wars viewer, like I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, like I like the movies but I don't get involved in the extended universe. So just as a regular moviegoer, I was so confused as to how this guy was there, and it wasn't explained at all. He was just like, it's Darth Maul, here he is, alright, there he goes. Need a little bit more, And now I've read up on it as well, I don't know what the point of having Darth Maul is. I mean, I'm pleased to see him, I love that character, he's the best thing in The Phantom Menace. But why is he here? If you read up, you can see how he dies in the cartoons, and it's not through Han Solo. So I just don't get it. I don't know where they're going to go with it. I don't know if they're going to get to go anywhere with it. But yeah, it was a confusing thing for me. I don't understand why. As cool as it was to see him, could have had someone new, couldn't we really? We could have had another cool villain, a cool new villain. Let's give us that. But those are my thoughts on Solo: A Star Wars Story. Have you seen it? If so, let me know what you think. Did you prefer this or Rogue One? Let me know that too. I personally love Rogue One. Loved it a lot. Preferred it to this one. But yeah, enjoyed this film a fair bit. Thank you very much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe P. Julians. Hit like on this video if you liked it. If you want to hit subscribe as well, that'd be awesome. And chat to me in the comments. Tell me how you think Darth Maul was going to work in any potential future Solo movies. Just spoiler tag them as well so we don't ruin it for people that haven't seen it. Yeah, thank you very much for watching and I will see you on the next video.